Hello, everyone. Welcome to our virtual impact tour to Nicaragua. We are so excited to have you all join us today. To kick us off, I want to make sure everyone is familiar with how to enable translation on today's call, as it will be in both English and Spanish. First, click the interpretation button on the meeting controls at the bottom of the screen and select the language you would like to hear. To hear the interpreted language only, choose Mute Original Audio from the interpretation options. If you would like to hear both the interpreted language and the original audio, do not choose Mute Original Audio. We've got a visual we're going to pull up for you here in just 1 second. All right. And if you have any technical, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, go ahead. Do you want me to do the Spanish after you said that?
By all means.
Okay, I'll do the same announcement really quickly in Spanish here. Bien, buenos días y bienvenidos a todos. Hoy vamos a tener interpretación en vivo. Entonces, se puede hacer clic en el globo terráqueo al fondo de su pantalla y para seleccionar un canal de interpretación y puede elegir inglés o español para escuchar en ese idioma. Se puede escoger para silenciar el audio original o no. Ambos son opciones. Si tiene algún problema, póngalo en el chat o envía un mensaje directamente a mí o a Jasmine y podemos ayudarle. Gracias por estar aquí hoy. Eso.
Thank you, Ben. As some of you may know, Impact Tours are our way of connecting our supporters with the incredible work of our country teams and local partners across the 9 countries where we work. Since COVID has restricted international travel, we've hosted virtual impact tours to Bolivia, Uganda, and now Nicaragua as a way to connect with our global network of supporters. Our goal is to be able to foster the same sense of connection and inspiration that we hear so often after supporters are able to meet our country teams, partners, and community leaders who are the ones championing everyone forever in their communities each and every day. We'll begin by introducing our global team members, and then we'll meet our Nicaragua colleagues. We'd also love to hear from you, so please share your name, your location, and your organization, if applicable, in the chat so we can get to know you a little bit. Our visit today will feature El Diamante School and a water treatment plant in the district of San Rafael del Norte. We have a live Q&A after our visit where we'll get to ask questions of staff and community leaders. Be sure to ask your questions using the Q&A feature located on the bottom of your Zoom window. And finally, we'll hear from a longtime champion of Water for People, Katie Kelleher. My name is Daryl Schreiber. I'm the Donor Engagement Coordinator on the Global Water for People team. I'd also like to introduce my colleagues on the call today, Julia Correa, Development Manager, and Kenneth Escorcia, Communication and Fundraising Officer. And Kenneth is joining us from Nicaragua. So, to kick off our tour day 1, let's take a look at where we're going to be traveling on this virtual impact tour. Our visits over the next 2 days will take us to San Rafael del Norte and La Concordia districts in Nicaragua. Great to see some of you introducing yourselves in the chat. Please continue to do that. Now I'd like to introduce our wonderful Nicaragua Country Director, Lisa Rivera. Lisa will begin with an overview of Water for People's work in Nicaragua. This will help unpack the Everyone Forever model before we begin our travels. Lisa?
Muchas gracias. Buenos días a todos y todas. Bienvenidos.
Thank you and good morning to all of you and welcome to our tour, Impact Tour for Nicaragua. I am broadcasting from Jinopega district in the northwest of Nicaragua that that also encompasses the Office of Water for People. And from here, we work for our 2 goal districts for Water for People in Nicaragua. I'm going to give you an introduction of our work model and also the particularities of our work and the specific features of Nicaragua. Thank you for being here again. And I would like to start by telling you that Water for People in Nicaragua started working in 2008. And since 2013, we have working under the Everyone Forever with water services for all people in each community, in each clinic and school. And we are working in 2 districts or municipalities called San Rafael del Norte and La Concordia. What you can see and what you see as my background is from San Rafael del Norte. San Rafael del Norte has around a population of 23,000, has a small urban center and 47 rural communities. And in the case of La Concordia, it's a small municipality with a population of 6,500, with another small urban center and 37 rural communities. If you can see, in both districts, we impact around 30,000 people who have participated in the Water for People projects throughout these years. We are also working in Nicaragua with initiatives, not only on water coverage, but also sanitation coverage to provide services to all those families who lack an adequate, a suitable sanitation service. So we do this through market initiatives. And we do not limit ourselves to these 2 municipalities, but we expand to a wider geography involving other municipalities. Next, please. I also want to tell you a little bit about the Water for People's model. With our model, we say that we want to reach everybody or everyone. Everyone means that there are drinking water and sanitation systems in each household. It means that each family has access to water and that each clinic in this municipality where we're working in those 37 rural communities, for example, in Concordia, are able to have water in their clinics, but also that each school in these communities have water and a suitable battery of restrooms. It's a challenge to reach everybody, because if you could hear my statistics, is that there are many rural communities, and this involves some complexity than working with urban communities. But when we say we want to reach everyone, we mean it. That means that we can work in these complexities, and so that we can install these water installations or innovative solutions for the most unprotected and vulnerable and scattered locations. And that is a characteristic or a feature of rural settings. Also, our model talks that these models are forever. And what does it mean that they are forever? It means that Water for People as a program tries that the communities and the municipalities do not depend from our assistance. We work for many years so that we can empower these communities and municipalities, and they are able to have the tools so that their services are always in use. So sustainable means that each water system in a community is able to be financially self-sustainable, but also that these communities can carry out actions to keep their water resources. We are clear that climate change and the challenge that water is not an unlimited resource, it is very limited, and therefore we need to carry out conservation measures because infrastructure is not sufficient. And I want to highlight this: infrastructure is not sufficient. We need the water sources to be kept. And that is another key for sustainability. And another part of sustainability is that the communities themselves improve their planning capacities and to visualize big plannings for the future. As I said at the beginning, we work for everyone forever, so that each community and each municipality, and I'm going to share a little bit about how we want to scale up our work beyond these two municipalities. We are working with our strategy for 2030, a global water for people strategy, and we're implementing it in each country so that our work scales up to national levels and we are able to change the structure of the water and sanitation structures at national levels. We will have a little bit of this tomorrow so that you can come with us and know more about this part of our work. Now, I would like to share a bit with you about what are the particular aspects for the Nicaraguan population. I want to share with you that Nicaragua has a population that is mainly rural. 45% of the population in Nicaragua lives in rural areas. If you could see in our municipalities, it's even more than, far more than 45%. It is a mainly rural country, and it has other characteristics. Like, for example, this brings levels of poverty. The rural communities have a higher level of poverty than the urban communities. For example, in Nicaragua, the general poverty level is around 25% of the population, and the rural areas can reach up to 60% of poverty levels, which is quite different from the urban areas. Another part that is important to highlight in the rural areas is that they depend on agriculture, and this makes them vulnerable to all the affectations made by the climate change, because they depend on agriculture and it affects their food security. Another thing that brings complexities in the rural communities is the cultural aspects. We have found situations in which the families, for example, do not want to use the chlorinated water because they are not used to have chlorine in their water, and that makes it a little bit difficult for the communities to make this quality water their own. So it's a little bit counterproductive, but it is very much rooted in the rural communities. And the other point that I wanted to highlight about the rural complexities is the gender inequality topics. Before we installed a water system, when the communities have no water, it's the women and the girls who are in charge of bringing water to their households. They have to walk for hours to carry water and bring it to their homes. But when we are implementing our water systems, not many women participate in the process. Now it's the men who take the leadership in the communities in the installation of the water systems, and they install their committees, they set up their committees. And now we need more women in this process when we have the systems set up. So here we can see an inequality. And the last element of complexity is inadequate sanitation. The rural communities use a lot of latrines, and they are in very poor conditions. And as you can see in these statistics that I'm sharing with you, at rural level in Nicaragua, 41% of the rural population has no access to drinking water. They have access to other sources of water, but they are not drinking water, potable water. 40% lack basic sanitation. And when we say that 40% of the rural population in Nicaragua lacks basic sanitation, that means that these families they are either sharing a restroom with other families and they do not have bathrooms of their own, or they have a latrine in very poor conditions that do not reach a basic level of service. And lastly, there is also a percentage of families that perform open outdoor defecation. And this is a big problem, not only in Nicaragua, but also in many developing countries. And in the case of rural Nicaragua, 14% of the population still use outdoor defecation as a way of sanitation. So I want to base now on not only the complexity, but also I want to focus on the positive aspects of the rural ways of living in water and sanitation work. And one positive thing is that there are community structures, and those are the drinking and water and sanitation committees, and they are in charge of being responsible of sustaining the water installations, systems once they are installed. So it's a great responsibility that the water committees have made theirs, the conservation of these systems, also to keep the leadership and be held accountable to the communities, and also take actions to improve the conservation of the water. So we want to highlight and celebrate the existence of these committees that even at the urban level, in the urban areas, we have no committees, but they are existing in the rural areas. And this is another characteristic in other developing countries as well. So now I would like to go on and moving forward from the rural aspects of my country, let's go to the next slide. I would like to highlight also our work with the institutions in our municipality. Why? Because it's important that we have water in the clinics and schools. It is very important, and it's a relevant accomplishment that one of our municipalities, San Rafael del Norte, has already reached a milestone that all its institutions have safe water. And we are about to reach this milestone in our other municipality, which is La Concordia. What I want to highlight about this is that water and sanitation become cross-cutting themes that support the education and health indicators. For example, in the case of education in Nicaragua, there are large programs to give lunches or meals to the schools, and they are run by the government and other state organizations. So it's important for them to have clean water in the schools so that the children's meals can be prepared. And you will know about this a little bit more during today's tour, but we also want to highlight that the existence of water in the schools also ensures the health of the children, but also their safety. Their safety because there are very rural schools with latrines in very poor conditions and quite insecure and unsafe for children. So there are many aspects in education and childhood in which children and schools are affected by the lack of good water and sanitation systems. And also in the clinics, it has been relevant, just as in the schools. Water for People, since 2020, has been supporting schools in our two municipalities. Over 25 schools have been supported to have available water all the time to wash their hands, for hand washing. Because of the COVID-19 measures, it was very easy to tell the people who live in the rural areas, you need to wash your hands for 30 seconds so that you can prevent COVID-19. But when rural schools do not have water, what can they do? So this has been of great relevance for health and COVID-19 specifically. Well, today we are going to have the chance to give a further in-depth look and share with our visitors. And I'm so thankful that you can come with us today. And I hope that you enjoy the next tours that we're going to have between today and tomorrow. My pleasure to meeting you, and thank you very much. Now I give the floor to you, Julia.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for a great overview of the Everyone Forever model in Nicaragua. It helps set the stage for our visits over the next 2 days. So today we'll be traveling to a water treatment plant and a school in the district of San Rafael del Norte. We'll hear from Gustavo Hirong, a representative from the municipality, and Carlos Cardenas school director to discuss the challenges with attendance and student behaviors after they got access to water and sanitation services at school. We'll begin our visit with a pre-recorded tour and interview at the water sanitation plant. Then Kenneth Escorcia, communications and fundraising official with Water for People Nicaragua team, will be our guide and interviewer for the live portion of the Q&A. As a reminder, be sure to submit your questions using the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. All right.
Estamos transmitiendo desde la planta potabilizadora de agua de San Rafael del Norte y yo me encuentro acompañado de Gustavo Hirong. Él es el responsable de la Unidad Municipal de Agua y Saneamiento para la Alcaldía de San Rafael del Norte. Gustavo, gracias por acompañarnos y yo quiero que conversemos un poco sobre el trabajo que hemos realizado entre Water for People y la Alcaldía de San Rafael del Norte. ¿Cómo ha sido la coordinación en estos 10 años, o más de 10 años de trabajar entre Water for People y San Rafael del Norte?
Bueno, buenos días a todos, ¿verdad? La coordinación ha sido muy fundamental porque, gracias a Dios, pues tenemos a nuestra alcaldesa Norma Herrera, que ella ha tenido las puertas abiertas para trabajar en el tema de agua y saneamiento, y también la ventaja y gran oportunidad que hemos tenido es que Water for People ha estado con nosotros desde el 2011 apuntando a la cobertura total para siempre en los sistemas de agua potable de aquí del municipio. Y esa apertura, ¿verdad?, para coordinar, para hacer acciones para el bienestar de las familias de San Rafael, que es uno de los principales objetivos de esta alcaldía, es brindarle agua potable a toda la familia, y eso ha venido a ayudar la presencia de ustedes, pues, porque solo con el fondo de la municipalidad, pues la tarea se hace un poco más difícil, mientras que ya tenemos socios como ustedes, pues la carga se vuelve más fácil.
¿Cuáles han sido los cambios más notables en el tema de agua y saneamiento que se han conseguido en estos más de 10 años de trabajo entre Water for People y San Rafael del Norte?
Bien, los cambios es de que ya el 100% de las comunidades en San Rafael del Norte, que son 47, ya cuentan con un sistema de agua potable seguro. Y uno de los cambios grandes también es de que la calidad del agua es mejor, hay menos enfermedades en las comunidades, ya los mismos usuarios y dueños de los sistemas, pues ellos pagan una tarifa por el servicio de agua. Entonces se viene haciendo un cambio, porque antes se construían sistemas, pero pagaban una cuota fija, 10 córdobas, 5 córdobas. Y ahora ellos ya han aprendido y han observado de que el pago de una tarifa justa les ayuda, porque pueden hacer algunas reparaciones en su sistema que ya no necesitan, digamos, de que un organismo o la misma alcaldía pues les dé dinero para reparar, sino que ellos ya con estos años que hemos venido capacitándolos ya están seguros y confiados de que pueden hacerle frente a cualquier problema que tengan en su sistema. Entonces, uno de los cambios ha sido ese, de que venimos con sistemas de agua potable que no tenían ni un córdoba, y ahora con toda la asesoría que hemos dado nosotros como Unidad Municipal de Agua y Saneamiento en coordinación con ustedes, ya los sistemas tienen fondos, tenemos sistemas de agua potable que tienen $9,000 ahorrados, tienen otros 600,000 córdobas. Entonces vamos en una cadena de ascenso gracias al fortalecimiento de ustedes como Water for People a nosotros y nosotros a la comunidad.
En 2018 y 2019, San Rafael del Norte fue el primer municipio a nivel nacional que alcanzó el hito de cobertura total para siempre en agua entre las comunidades y las instituciones. ¿Cómo fue que se consiguió este hito para la municipalidad?
Este hito fue de mucha importancia, el triunfo, porque se logró gracias a la coordinación articulada entre la municipalidad, el organismo donante, que en este caso son ustedes, y la comunidad. Entonces, haciendo este equipo de 3, se logró este trabajo, porque de nada nos sirve tener el dinero si las comunidades no quieren trabajar o no se quieren dejar ayudar, porque en este punto el protagonista principal de este trabajo es la comunidad, y si ellos se involucran y ponen de su parte, pues se obtienen grandes logros, y en este caso fue el hito de cobertura total en todo el municipio, y también la coordinación con las instituciones del Estado que están presentes en el municipio, como es el MINSA, el MINET, que junto con ellos pues hemos logrado de que todas las escuelas también de San Rafael cuenten con sistemas de agua y saneamiento adecuados para atender a nuestros niños, pues, que son el futuro de San Rafael, y que ya no presentan alguna vulnerabilidad de enfermedades o de estar haciendo uso en alguna unidad que les den algún peligro de que se vayan a golpear o incluso a ir a una letrina, pues. Entonces,
fue en 2018 y 2019 que se consiguió este hito. Han pasado más de 3 años y Water for People sigue trabajando en coordinación con la Alcaldía de San Rafael del Norte. ¿Qué ha sido el trabajo que se ha continuado haciendo en este tiempo?
Como lo decíamos inicialmente, ¿verdad? La cobertura total para siempre. Entonces ya logramos cobertura total y ahora estamos luchando por el para siempre, para que los sistemas no se caigan, perduren en el tiempo. Si bien es cierto que se diseñan con una vida útil de 20 años, según las normas nacionales, pero con el buen mantenimiento, los mantenimientos en tiempo y forma, como lo dice la ley, se logran. Entonces la cobertura se va ampliando y la vida útil del sistema se va ampliando, porque incluso tenemos sistemas que en algún momento ya están por cumplir su vida útil y el sistema está funcionando en óptimas condiciones, porque en estos años que hemos pasado después de que logramos el hito, hemos estado trabajando fuerte para que los CAPs, que son los que administran los sistemas, brinden la operación y el mantenimiento al momento pues, que es necesario, y lograr la cobertura que es para siempre, como nosotros lo queremos, pues. Y hemos estado trabajando también en el tema de la conservación de las fuentes, pues, porque de nada nos sirve tener sistemas de agua en todas las comunidades si no trabajamos el tema de fuentes. Entonces, estamos trabajando en estos años en coordinación con Water for People, las entidades de gobierno que están en este caso, ¿verdad?, viendo el tema del medio ambiente, y nosotros como municipalidad también de la mano en estos procesos, y también involucrando a los comités de agua, porque al final las fuentes de ellos, el sistema es de ellos, y a ellos es que les interesa también trabajar el tema de la conservación de sus fuentes de agua.
Gustavo, tenemos ya muchísimos años de trabajar juntos entre la organización Water for People y la Alcaldía de San Rafael del Norte. En este momento son muchas personas que han donado a la causa de Water for People las que están conectadas. ¿Qué mensaje les darías en agradecimiento e instarlos a que sigan apoyando esta causa? Sí,
bueno, primero que todo, darle las gracias, ¿verdad?, por haber confiado en el municipio de San Rafael del Norte, haber adoptado, digamos así, para ayudar a aumentar la cobertura en agua potable y saneamiento en el municipio, ¿verdad? Porque como les decía anteriormente, pues siempre necesitamos de una mano amiga para que nos ayude a hacer este frente, y agradecerles por ese granito de arena que ustedes ponen cada día para que más comunidades, más países logren tener agua potable y saneamiento, que es una tarea muy difícil, porque tenemos comunidades, ciudades que a veces se han quedado sin agua, y muchos quisieran tener el apoyo de Water for People para poder hacer frente a estos problemas, y que sigan donando, porque siempre es necesario el apoyo, ¿verdad?, de ustedes, porque así como nosotros, San Rafael del Norte, hemos logrado cobertura total para siempre, hay otros municipios que necesitan este apoyo, hay otras ciudades también que necesitan el apoyo, y obviamente pues más personas que se los van a agradecer, y también pues darle gracias a Dios por darles ese corazón a ustedes para apoyar a estas comunidades, y en particular a San Rafael del Norte, pues que se los agradecemos infinitamente. Igual nuestra alcaldesa les manda muchos agradecimientos porque han ayudado a que en el periodo que ella ha estado en el gobierno municipal, pues el apoyo de ustedes ha sido incondicional. Hemos logrado 2 hitos, y estamos apuntando al tercero, pues que sería que todas las familias de las comunidades estén conectadas al sistema.
Muchísimas gracias, Gustavo Hirong, responsable de la Unidad Municipal de Agua y Saneamiento. Nosotros continuamos con más en este tour.
Thank you, Kenneth, for that great interview. And now we will go over to El Diamante School, where Kenneth is live.
Muchísimas gracias, Daryl. Gracias a todas las personas que están conectadas en este momento. Yo me encuentro desde la Escuela El Diamante. Estamos a 8 minutos del casco urbano de San Rafael del Norte y a más de 30 kilómetros de Jinotega. Y acá, como pueden observar alrededor, esto es lo que tenemos de la Escuela de El Diamante aquí en San Rafael del Norte. Estamos en la parte de afuera y vamos a dar inicio a este tour, a esta visita que tenemos en la Escuela El Diamante. Y a la primera persona con la que vamos a conversar, en este caso, es el profesor Carlos Cárdenas. Profesor, muy buenos días. Gracias por recibirnos acá en la escuela.
Buenos días. Sean bienvenidos a este centro escolar El Diamante, que funciona como escuela base en el núcleo.
Quiero preguntarle, profesor, son muchos años lo que tenemos nosotros como Water for People de estar trabajando acá en el municipio de San Rafael del Norte, pero también nosotros trabajamos en la escuela. ¿Cuáles han sido los principales cambios que hemos tenido, que hemos realizado en conjunto a la alcaldía municipal en esta escuela?
Bueno, primero que todo es el facilitar o el que la escuela tenga agua.
Okay, and the first thing that we have seen is that the school has drinking water for the preparation of meals, hand washing, and hygiene, and the construction of the sanitation battery, the restroom batteries, and that it also helps the children for them to have a more harmonious life, that they have more sanitation and a healthier life. And about healthy sanitation, we were talking about the battery of restrooms. What is the impact of with the students here? And it is a very positive impact. When we talk about water, we're talking about several factors. We're talking about sanitation, we're talking about hygiene, we're talking hygiene when preparing the meals. We're also talking about having water and facilitating the use of the battery of restrooms, also the use of the water, or putting in practice the anti-COVID safety protocol, and what the facilities that have been given to the students and the teachers, taking care and for the water. We've been talking with our municipal head and the teachers. It's the permanent taking care of the water and the correct use of the water. And you can see all the taps here are well closed. We never allow a tap to be dripping or that it's damaged. The same thing happens with our restrooms. If they get damaged, or we just get together with the parents and they come and they repair it. Before we continue, we would like to share the surroundings of the school. Please tell us, how does this school work? The Diamante School is a multi-grade school, and we also provide preschool services. So we have 3 teachers, and the teachers are elementary school teachers and preschool. We also have 1 preschool teacher. We also have a student, 30 students in the elementary school and 10 preschool students, and they're all happy to use the battery of restrooms that were provided to us by Water for People. And now we would like to invite you to take a tour and visit and look at the battery of restrooms that we have here. This battery of restrooms was built last year in an alliance with Water for People, with the municipal mayor Mayor's Office of San Rafael del Norte. And before we arrive, we get to the battery of restrooms, we can see here messages addressed to the students and to the teachers as to how about how they have to take care of their health against COVID. And here we are in the restroom battery, and we have Maria Fernanda Herrera. She's a student here in this at the El Diamante School. Maria Fernanda, good morning. How are you doing? I'm fine, thank you. What grade are you in? I'm in 5th grade. And what was the change that you have experienced now that you have the battery of restrooms? When we only used to have only one latrine, and latrines used to be very dangerous. I was afraid of going to a latrine alone, so I had another classmate that helped me, and now we have a more hygienic and clean restroom. Now parents also have got together to come and clean the restrooms. And what is the messages that the teachers have given you to take care of the battery of the toilet block? And they need to wash their hands with a lot of water and soap. And how do you take care of the toilet block? By cleaning it when we need to get clean, and we take care of it because we know that not any corporation could donate this to us. And what message would you give to the people that donated this to build this toilet block, like in this school and other school and another school, to other schools in San Rafael del Norte? I would like to say thank you because you donated this for us, and thanks for the Water for People project. And please give us more projects because our school needs more. Thanks a lot, Maria Fernanda. Teacher, I would like, Maria Fernanda, I'm sure that we have many more children who are so benefited with the use of this toilet block. Yes, as I said, to all the students here, they are benefited, the preschool children, the 30 children from elementary school, the teachers and the parents who come and bring the meals for the children. And whenever they need to use the restrooms, they can come here and they are very proudly use our toilet block. And as Maria Fernanda said, it used to be quite dangerous before. We worked with a program that was we had a program called the Clean and Safe Restrooms. So having these toilet blocks makes the children feel safe. And as Maria Fernanda said, it was more dangerous for children to go to a latrine, especially for the preschool children who are younger and smaller. So are you talking about the Pretty Clean and Safe Schools program? And we know that the Ministry of Education is always implementing programs to improve the schools. I'm sorry.
Having a little bit of connectivity issue,
Tenemos
but we'll just give it 1 second and hopefully they'll come back. Okay, I see Kenneth is back.
Por un momento la conexión, pero continuamos.
We lost the connection for a little while, but here we are live from the community of El Diamante in the municipality of San Rafael del Norte. Mr. Cardenas, you were sharing with me the participation of the parents through the programs sponsored by, promoted by the Ministry of Education. Yes, I'm just want to say about the parents that participate in the plans for safe and clean and nice schools. They come 3 times a week to clean the schools. Parents come, they wash, They sweep, they clean both the toilet block and the school. They also, if a lock or a latch or a door needs to be repaired, they are always taking care of these, and they also come and they do those repairs. We have Maria Fernanda here, and like for Maria Fernanda, there are many other girls who are part of the student population here. What benefits do you see with regard to the security or safety by using the toilet block, and also a space for to take care of the menstrual wastes? I'm so sorry. It has been that the teachers were expecting and seeing if they were very always taking care for the children whenever they went to the restroom, to see if they were always safe, to keep safe. And we also have this space to dispose of the menstrual wastes. And now we've got it properly labeled, and the girls go and they deposit they dispose of their menstrual wastes. And also during the science class, we also make children aware, especially the girls in this case. It is important to talk about the participation of the parents. What do they say now that their children can come to school, and they come now not only to school but to a safe space? When we're talking about safety, okay, safety comes from home. We have now an increase in school attendance, school enrollment, and school retaining and keeping the students in the school. And we think that this has been thanks to the construction of the toilet block. Many parents did not send their schools because they fear that their children might get hurt at the latrine. But now the toilet block gives more security, more safety, and the parents feel more at ease. And here at school, the result is that we have good attendance. I would now, part of the team are here helping me with the camera. So could we please go around the toilet block? So here we have here a space for children, and this is for preschool children, and this is for children ages 3 to 5, small children. They come with their teacher, and if you look at here, it's a toilet that is specifically for children. It's a small toilet. Yes, exactly. And then we have another space like this one here next door, and here it's labeled and for women, and you've got labeled where to put the menstrual wastes. So yes, we labeled it, and you can read it here, and you also have this box where they just put their wastes, where the girls put their wastes. And also we have this, finally we have this space for the boys or men, for the boys in our school population. So yes, it is part of the design that for this battery, for this toilet block, and the boys come here and use the restroom, and the boys also use the urinaries, and they feel safe, and it's more hygienic, more clean, and it substitutes and gives a better quality of life for the children, all the children, both boys and girls. So now I'm going to make a pause And I am going to give the voice to Daryl in Denver, and we will carry on with more live features here in San Rafael del Norte.
Thank you, Kenneth. That was a great tour. It's wonderful to hear that students are feeling more safe and staying in school because of these bathrooms. Just a quick note, Kenneth, that we were seeing your video sideways for the last couple of minutes there, so you might need to rotate your video for the next segment. And also, we're taking a brief pause to switch interpreters. So while we wait, I want to remind you that you can
les
submit
quiero recordar que
questions in
pueden
the
poner
chat,
sus
or
preguntas
excuse me, the Q&A feature at the bottom
en
of the
la
screen.
aplicación de preguntas y respuestas, que es QIA, en la parte de abajo de la pantalla.
Are we good with translation? All right, so let's continue on then to the Q&A section. Again, use the Q&A feature to submit your questions, and Kenneth will ask our community members who we have with us.
Gracias, Marcos, y en este caso, gracias, Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, everyone. We have part of the Water for People team here, and we are still broadcasting from El Diamante School. So, teacher, just to finish and wrap up this session, and please, we would like to invite everyone logged in to ask questions. You can interact with the teacher, Carlos Cárdenas. He is the director of the school and also representative of the Ministry of Education here in San Rafael del Norte. I wanted to ask, how do you think Water for People can keep on contributing and can keep on supporting to the schools? Well, first of all, before asking, I would like to thank you immensely for thinking of this very humble community, of this humble school, and building these bathroom blocks. And we always say that that there's nothing good that cannot be better. So one of the things that Water for People can do for us maybe is providing us with supplies for the use of these bathrooms by boys and girls. For instance, toilet paper, towels, anything that is hygiene supplies. And so, because we are a little bit, limited in terms of these supplies, we don't really have a big budget for that. So I think everything goes hand in hand, and those, hygiene supplies would make our school cleaner, better, and safer. Well, we have a lot of people connected right now, and they are donors, supporters, international donors and supporters for Water for People. What would you say to them? Well, first of all, thank you. I would like to thank you immensely for this donation, and that may God bless you and multiply every single thing that you've given to us, and that I hope that you keep on supporting. We are blessed with this project, with your support, and I think that this can also go to other schools because they also have the needs and the rights to be better like us. Well, we are starting to get some questions, so let's share. We are going to also have a representative of the Water Sanitation Office. You saw him at the first video. So I know that you have cleaning days. How do you do that? Well, we go actually beyond just the schools. Not so long ago, on April 22nd, we celebrated the Mother Earth or Planet Earth Day. And so what we did, we went all through the community with the teachers and the kids, and they started collecting garbage and classifying it into organic and inorganic waste. And then we put it in a small area in the community. And so we've been raising awareness among the community that they should actually put and collect garbage where it should be. And so that's also part of the actions that we've done, beyond just the school. And then there is a question here. It says, what inspired you to be involved in education, either teaching or through the ministry? Well, actually, I have to be honest. I was one of the few that really wanted to go into an education career. Not a lot of people once, but there was something that was calling me, and I really love education. And also, everything that I've studied is related to education. I have a degree on primary education, then middle school, then I also have a social science degree, then I have a master's degree on the elaboration of educational projects. I also have a specialty for literature and mathematics for people in second grade, for kids in second grade. So I have always been involved in education. I love being involved with the kid, the family, the parents, anything that can do that I can do, I will do. There's another question, by Erin. Do you find that children stay in school longer and are starting earlier because of the bathrooms? Oh, yes, for sure. Yes, kids, when we had only one latrine, the kids would make a huge line. But now we have different bathrooms. We have one from first to third, and we have the preschool, primary, etc. But before, they would need to wait in a big line. Now they just they go. They have the toilets for the preschool kids. We have the toilets for girls. We have the toilet for boys, and so they definitely stay longer in school and starting earlier. That is a given. They stay all day long. And also related to this question, Priya is asking, how many students are in this school? Well, so far we have 30 students in primary from first to sixth grade, because this is a multi-grade school, like I said. And I also have 10 preschool kids, and it's a multi-level, so first, second, and third level for preschool kids. They're very little. Okay, we also have Gustavo Hirong as the representative of the Municipal Water and Sanitation Office. And so, Gustavo, you could see him. We were talking to him at the Agua Clara treatment plant. How are you? I'm good, thank you very much. Hello to everyone who's logged in at this call. In this impact tour, it is so important to do something like this. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we could not do this in person, but I really hope that this can get better and we soon do this, and we can you can come to Nicaragua at some point and you can see live and in color everything that we're sharing with you in this virtual tour. It's definitely, we're so thankful, and this is a sacrifice for you too, to give, to share. Some people donate out of their pockets and out of their salaries to us, and so definitely this benefits the population, and in this case San Rafael del Norte in Nicaragua. I have a question from the people who are logged in. Is there what is the co-funding provided by the beneficiaries when the mayor's office they have a water project? Well, in this case, when they are potable or drinking water projects, the families pay for the connection and also the labor, the unskilled labor. And so in this case, they do the digging, they help with the construction materials, and anything that is needed to build the water tanks. So they do, they provide their labor. So we don't really have it quantified economically. We don't really put a money value to that, but it is definitely also big. And while it is true they do pay a little bit for their connection to, from the system to their house, it's around $100 per family, plus the unskilled labor. And in some communities, this lasted 45, 50, or 60 days of work. I also wanted to ask another question in this case. How is waste treated? Is there a septic system? This was asked by Chelsea. Well, all of the systems that we've built And you've seen, the bathrooms, they do have a septic system to treat all the waste. And then, we also have a filtration system. And so everything is built based on the technical standards that are enforcing Nicaragua. And I was also, we also have the Ministry of Education. They also have a policy for the building of bathrooms in schools. And that regulation says that for every 25 kids, we need to have a toilet. We cannot have one toilet for all. And we also need to have it gendered. So we have, boys and girls, and then also the only place where we can have one single toilet for boys and girls is for preschool. But then, beginning from first grade up, we need to have gendered bathrooms. Well, Chelsea's also asking, what is the water source? Where is it located? Well, the water source here is a spring. It's surface water, and we have it located approximately 6 kilometers away. So that's around 10 miles, 9 miles away. And they do chlorination, and it's a spring, so thankfully we don't have any turbidity, which is something that could affect us if we did. But we, have a chlorination system, we clean it, and it definitely it helps the schools and the houses. Then we also have another question by Priya. How many schools are in San Rafael del Norte, and has Water for People managed to reach all of them, or if there is a plan for doing that? Well, in San Rafael del Norte, we have 47 schools, and with this kind of, bathroom blocks, we still need to get to one school. They do have their own sanitation system, but it's a latrine. Like I said, with this same system that you're looking at this, flushing toilets, bathroom blocks, we still need to reach one of them. We're working with them to see the issue of micrometering, because that's the only community that is left. And then we also have another community. They do have a treatment system, but this is a latrine as well. So our idea is that we want to improve that, because while it is true latrine is considered a sanitation system, an improved sanitation system, definitely, like as the teacher said, and even the girls said, it's better, it's nicer to go to a toilet, and it's safer as well and healthier. So the goal is that all 47 schools to have flushing toilets in a bathroom block with stalls. And so definitely, if you could support us, we will make it a reality. We know that part of the work of, Water for People and the mayor's office is to conduct the projects and then have monitoring. Chelsea is asking, where do you get the funds? Where does the funding come from, the maintenance and repairs? Well, if we're talking about the drinking and potable water system, we have to estimate a tariff. We have to calculate a tariff so that the whole system is self-sustainable. And then the tariff also contains the repair of all minor components, which in this case are valves, meters, fixtures, and then at least 20% of the major components, which is tank, the piping, etc. And so this is distributed out into all of the users so that we will be able to maintain the system. And if we're talking about the schools, the parents, as the teacher said, whenever there is something that is deteriorated, then they need to collect the money among the parents so that they repair this problem, because definitely there is a budget for the schools, but this budget is actually used to improve the schools, their classrooms, and so that is approximately 5% of the budget that comes from the municipality, which is not a lot, but we try to do something. And we're always working also with people like you, like the supporters, you donors. We thank you so much. Also, definitely we have strategic partners to be able to reach our goals. Well, now I wanted to ask you, what is the approximate cost of the construction to build a facility, and how long, how long did it take to construct? Well, this whole system, the whole facility was 700,000 Cordobas with it lasted for approximately 40 days. So that's around the cost, 700,000 Cordobas. And then during all those days, those 40 days, approximately, you worked only with the parents who gave their unskilled labor, or did you also get people, support from the municipality or water for people? Well, for the construction, we had skilled labor also, because obviously we need to, build it correctly. And then the parents also supported in constructing when unskilled labor was needed. That's, like I said before. Yes, I would like to tell everyone who are logged in here, the amount that Gustavo mentioned, 700,000 Cordobas, is around $19,000, $19,500 based on the exchange rate right now. So it is important, Gustavo, to maybe say something to the people logged in today, because it is through Water for People we get donations, we get funding to keep on supporting districts like San Rafael del Norte and other municipalities as well. What would your message be for them? Well, on my part, as a public servant and a representative of the San Rafael del Norte municipality today, I would like to say, first of all, thank you. Thank you for all the work that you've been doing with us and for us in order to get everyone forever in terms of water and sanitation. And we know that as a municipality, we have a small budget for water and sanitation. It is not enough. It is definitely not enough for the demand that we have. And also, partnering with an organization like Water for People has been excellent, and I have to say it out loud. The contributions that we've gotten, financial contributions, have been very important, and we are able to get the community members to have a better quality of life with water and sanitation, and we also improve health in general, because if we do have water and sanitation systems and we have access to these safe services, there's less diarrhea cases, and this is also based on the Ministry of Health statistics. It was a very high rate of diarrheal diseases that we got because they didn't have access to water sanitation. So now we have a lower rate of diarrheal diseases. So thank you very much for trusting us also in order to execute the water project. And thank you. And I would also like to urge you to keep on helping us, keep on supporting us. We still have a few goals to reach, and I'm sure that you will help us do this. We would like that, 95% of all the families to be connected to the systems, because at some point the families, they also have they're somewhat reluctant. They say, I'm not doing it now, I will do it later. So we have 5-10 families left in a community that are not connected to the systems, and we want them to be connected. We want all of them. We want to be one of the first municipalities to have more than 95% of families connected. We want all of them. So we want to urge you to keep on helping us, supporting us, and reach the goal, and also achieve the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, right? Which is the have safe access to water sanitation services by 2030. Well, we know that we work with the schools, and we also work with the municipality. We work with the health centers and establishments. So what can you say about that? What's the level of coverage? Well, in this case, we've supported the Ministry of Health in building some facilities that they required, that they needed to improve. We have had also really good coordination with them, because they support us in terms of monitoring of water quality in all the communities. And so I think the impact has been quite good because they also value so much the effort that we have done to build the water systems. Definitely the diarrheal diseases that they had in the communities, it has gone down now. And so definitely that is a big satisfaction, because in the end, the work that, I know that each one of us, we reach our goals. The Ministry of Health, they reduce the number of diseases, we increase the access to water sanitation services. And so how many health establishments do we have in San Rafael del Norte? Well, we have 7 health establishments, and they are divided into sectors, because in some communities, they call it, the basic health posts, and they just serve certain communities, certain sectors, as we call them, because they cannot cover everything because they don't have enough budget. They don't also have they don't have the health posts that are actually owned by the ministry. These are just community based. These are houses that are owned by the community, and they just give these houses to the ministry so that they can care for people there. But we would need to be also, recipients of funds in order to be able to build better health establishments in the communities so that they have the necessary conditions to serve efficiently to the families. So in this case, the fact that we are in a house that is not owned by the ministry, we cannot really do any major interventions. We cannot build a bathroom facility there because this is not owned by the ministry. And so because of that, it's that's an issue also. Okay, thank you very much, Gustavo. Thank you. As you can see, besides the partnership that we have as Water for People, the Ministry of Education, you've seen this, and you've seen in La Concordia and San Rafael del Norte, so that every boy and every girl in the schools can wash their hands adequately, can have access to the bathroom. And this was an issue, pre-pandemic, and now we are broadcasting live from Diamante School in San Rafael del Norte.
Well, thank you, Kenneth, and thank you to our panelists who spoke with us today, answering our questions. I know I can say personally, it is really amazing to connect and hear from people in Nicaragua and hear them speak about their experiences. So thank you so much. And thank you all for your thoughtful questions. So now with the last few minutes of the tour, I'm going to introduce a longtime champion of Water for People, Katie Kelleher. Katie is a senior manager of water treatment in Canada for Brenntag Specialties, our donation match partner for the tour. She is also the co-chair of the Water for People Champion and Workplace Giving Committee at Brenntag. Last year, she raised over $3,000 for the World Water Classic fundraising event. Katie is the mom of an almost 4-year-old daughter, Abigail, pictured there. She's going to share a bit about her connection and passion for this work, and we are so lucky to have her here today. Over to you, Katie.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Daryl. It was really amazing to see and hear about the work that Water for People has done in San Rafael del Norte, and to hear from the community about what the funds raised have meant to children in the schools like Maria. I hope that everyone did see in the chat that Brenntag is matching funds today raised up to $25,000. This is the first time that Brenntag has match funds raised on a virtual impact tour, and so I feel really humbled to be able to represent Brenntag on this call today. During our time together, I'd like to briefly share with you a little bit about my personal connection with Water for People and why I've chosen to invest in this organization with both my personal finances and also my time. This morning, I'm speaking to you from Thunder Bay, Ontario, which is built on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people, which includes the Ojibwe of Fort William First Nation. I plan to share with you why I'm involved and passionate about water for people, how I've been involved with water for people up to this point, and then a little bit about my plans for the World Water Classic this year. So first, I'm just going to start by sharing with you a little bit about why I personally am passionate and committed to the work that Water for People does. Put simply, I believe that access to clean and reliable drinking water and adequate sanitation is just a basic human right. And the work that Water for People does is making it possible for people who up to this point have not had those basic human rights afforded to them possible. And the thing that I find so inspiring about being even just a small part of ending the global water crisis is that we as humans have the knowledge and the resources to put this crisis to an end within my lifetime, but most definitely within my daughter's lifetime. It's a global crisis that, unlike many others, we already know how to solve. So also the other thing I would say about Water for People and the work that I get to do with them is that it's really provided an opportunity for us in my household to teach my daughter from a very young age how privileged we are here in Canada, but also how important it is to find ways to incorporate service and giving into our lives at every stage. Last year, after we did the World Water Classic as a family, I asked my daughter at the end of it why she thought we had done that big walk. And she responded to me that it's because mommy has to make clean water. And I was able to capture that on video. And of course, her understanding isn't right, isn't totally right, but I'm just really excited to be able to hopefully capture me asking her that same question this year and as the years go on, and just see how her comprehension and understanding grows as my family continues to be involved with Water for People. Next, I'm going to share briefly with you how I've been involved with Water for People lately. So I'm really just sharing this in the hopes that I might say something here that would spark an idea for even just one person, and that ultimately that would result in more funds raised for Water for People. So Brentag, the company that I work for, has been a corporate partner with Water for People since 2018. And just over a year ago, I was asked to get more involved in our workplace giving committee. So Daryl mentioned in the introduction that I had the good fortune to raise just over $3,000 last year for the World Water Classic. And I really just did this by sharing on my own personal social media accounts, by sharing on LinkedIn. I shared with colleagues and my friends and family. And I also I had the opportunity to share with many of Brentag's suppliers and customers. So bottom line is I basically, over the course of a couple of months, shared with really anybody who would listen about what I was doing, and just was pretty consistent in my communication. And then the other thing I would admit that gave me a little bit of a boost is that I celebrated a birthday in September. And so I did ask family and friends to consider to contribute to my fundraising efforts in lieu of a birthday present that year. And so that really helped me. I'm also really proud to report that last year Brentag had a total of 125 people participate in the event, and our employee base alone raised $11,500. So from my perspective, if this helps to inspire other companies that are on this call or workplace giving champions, that again was just made possible by consistent communication. We tried really hard to engage our workplace giving champions to, share with their own sphere of influence about what we were doing. And then the last thing I would say is that something that always goes a really long way is a little friendly competition. So we really try to get, different business units, competing against each other. And that really helped us a lot as well. The other way that right now I'm involved with Water for People is that I'm currently working with 2 other volunteers on a World Water Corps project. So the project that we're working on right now is a landscape assessment of the water and sanitation sector in Canada, focusing on vulnerable populations. So in Canada, those vulnerable populations are primarily First Nations communities and peoples. While it may seem as though there is almost complete coverage, sorry, I need to slow down a little bit. Well, it may seem as though there is almost complete coverage in North America. More than 3 million people do not have access to safe drinking water in the US and Canada combined. And even more do not have safely managed sanitation services. So the project that we're working on right now is really assessing the situation in Canada and developing a list of recommendations for water for people. During my time working on this project, I have learned so much about the gap that still exists in Canada as it pertains to water and sanitation. And being part of this project has also really helped me understand more closely Destination 2030, which is Water for People's vision for 2030, which put simply aims at drastically increasing the number of people and communities that they reach, hence why they're looking at work here in Canada. So having the opportunity to both be a part of the Workplace Giving Committee and see what BRENTAG is doing together, and then coupled with the opportunity to work on this landscape assessment has really been nothing short of life-changing for me personally. The simplest way that I could explain that is to say that it's given the work that I do every day another element of purpose. So the opportunity to couple what I do for a living with this higher purpose of sorts for me has been extremely meaningful. The last thing I want to say on this subject is that if anybody on this call ever has an opportunity and the expertise necessary to volunteer for a World Water Corps project, you will not regret it. You will learn so much and it will probably change your life. My understanding is that most of these projects are desk studies, although sometimes there are opportunities for visits to the fields. The last thing that I want to share with each of you today is what my plans are for the World Water Classic this year. And I'm sharing this in hopes that I might inspire other folks listening today to do something similar. So last year, I mentioned earlier that I completed the 6 kilometers for the World Water Classic with my family in tow. I dragged my mom and my husband and my daughter along to do it with me. So on a sunny Saturday morning, we headed to a nice local hiking spot that is beautiful for hiking, but is also admittedly a bit of an uphill climb. At the time, my daughter was about 3.5 years old, and she's pretty typical for her age that she did not want to stay in the stroller for the entire time, but was also not willing to walk for long periods of time either. So that meant that my husband and I took turns carrying her on pretty much that entire 6-kilometer walk, and my mother pushed the stroller for us. So at the time, I'd say she weighed about 25 pounds. And as we were doing that walk and grumbling between the two of us about how heavy she is and how much longer the walk was taking because we were carrying this extra weight, we talked about how in countries like Nicaragua and other countries where Water for People is working, women are primarily responsible for water collection. They walk an average of 6 kilometers a day to collect water, and that they likely carry at least the weight that my daughter was at that time each time they walk. So many of them carry the water and then also a child on their back at the very same time, which only increases the weight. So when I got home that evening, I confirmed for myself that 5 gallons of water weighs approximately 40 pounds. And I declared to my family that next year I would do the same walk with an additional 40 pounds on my back to raise some awareness not only for the distance that women walk, but also for the tremendous weight that they carry. So I'm sharing this again today because I would love to extend an invitation to others on this call who are already planning to do the walk to join me to do the same. There is actually this phenomenon called the Martyrdom Effect that suggests that people are more willing to sponsor a close other's fundraising when the fundraising effort is both painful and effortful. So there's a little bit of method to my madness, I hope, as well. That's really all I wanted to share with you all today. Thank you for your time and attention. In closing, I just wanted to leave you with a quote that is up on the screen there. I'll just read it to you. And it's just simply that never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And I just want to leave this with you, that the group of people here listening on this call, which last I checked was about 137, together, just that small group of people can today make a real difference in the lives of families, children, and the communities in Nicaragua. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Katie. You have done so much for Water for People. You mentioned so many great opportunities we have to promote awareness and raise funds. My colleagues have dropped some of those links for you in the chat if you're curious to know more about the ripple effect or the World Water Classic that's coming up. You can follow those links. And Katie, I just want to highlight one quote from one of our Water for People coworkers. She says, "Thank you for sharing your story, Katie. I love that you have involved your family and shared this journey with them. One of the best ways we can be a champion for Water for People." And I echo her sentiments. So if you want to be a champion for Water for People, as committed and involved as Katie, like I said, check out those links to the World Water Classic and the Ripple Effect to learn how you can promote awareness and raise funds. And you can also donate and double your impact today. Our partner Brentag has donated or is matching donations up to $25,000 for this impact tour. So this is a great opportunity to share this match with your networks, spread a little awareness, and double the impact of any donated funds during this tour. So with that, I will close and say thank you all so much for your participation. Gracias a todos. Thank you for joining, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.